Copper is one of the most valuable materials we handle here at the scrapyard, but people often misunderstand how we determine the value of an insulated copper wire. It's all based on the percentage of copper and whether once it is processed, if it is a number 1 copper or a number 2 copper. So let me show you a couple examples. People often look at the size of the insulated copper wire and assume that the larger it is, the more valuable it is, but that isn't always the case. This right here is an insulated number 1 copper that recovers somewhere around 78 to 80% copper once it is processed. And basically what I mean by that is once this insulation is removed and we're down to just that bare copper, there is 78 to 80% by weight. And this looks like a fairly thin strand of copper, but you can see it is a solid core copper with a very thin insulation layer. And most of the wire you see in this pile is an insulated number 2 copper, and it's going to recover somewhere between 40 and 50% copper by weight. But like I said, oftentimes people look at the size of the wire. You can see this is pretty big around, but it has multiple different wires in it and multiple layers of insulation. You can see on the end of this one there are thin little strands of copper, and the majority of this wire is actually plastic insulation. And as a perfect example of a lower recovery item is drop cords. Everyone is familiar with these and they come through the scrapyard all the time, but same thing, it has very little copper to a lot of insulation, and these recover usually around 35%. Depending on where you sell your wire, there may be a bunch of different names or grades. Around here we use the term spaghetti wire, Romex, insulated number 2, Cat 5 wire, Control, etc., etc. And all of those names are good descriptions, but really at the end of the day, all that matters is that copper recovery. So if you're trying to determine the value of your copper, pay most attention to how much copper there actually is versus how much plastic, insulation, or waste.